Welcome to the She Build Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? Welcome to the She Build Show. Today, we have an incredible guest. She is an award-winning general contractor, interior designer, and owner of American Dreamers Home Renovation, which is a boutique home construction and renovation company out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, Morgan.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to just kind of know about your business right from the get-go. Walk me through what your services are. If I were to hire you, like let's say to do a remodel for my kitchen, what does my experience look like from your business?
Oh, well, of course you said kitchen because that's the longest journey, right?
I know, right? What do you want me to do? You want to do like a living room, bedroom?
Do a built-in single.
Yeah.
No. So,
I just want a pull-out drawer, please.
Right. Yeah. Singular, one drawer, we're done. And obviously, yes, kitchens are the longest journey because there are so many components that go into the kitchen, right? It's everything. It's electrical, it's HVAC often because we've got to move vents, right? Most kitchens that, American Dreamers does are also restructure because we've got to go through some bearing wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to expand. The way that we use our homes today is very different than the way we used our homes even 10 years ago. And so although we aren't entirely full open concept, that need for that large kitchen still exists, right? It's still there. So the process with American Dreamers is, I think, simple. And the reason it's simple is because we're entirely in-house, right? So we don't subcontract any portion of this project. So when you come to American Dreamers, everything happens in American Dreamers. So first you would contact us and you'd get your estimate, right? And then after your estimate, if you were interested, because let's face it, I could do all the drawings in the world, but if you don't have the budget, well, I've just now, set you up to be disappointed. Okay, right. That's it.
I have like a question. Do you charge people for estimates?
We do. Yeah.
You do? Can I ask how much?
It's nominal. It's like $50.
So it's just like, hey, I did some time. And if you want me to work on your project and give you an estimate, here's a fee.
Not customers that are entirely interested in having anything done, really.
Right. They just want to use you to bid against other contractors.
Well, that's possible. And I don't really mind that so much. That's okay. But they don't even have, they're looking for numbers to maybe talk their significant other into it. They're not really serious about the project. Okay. And if you're really serious about doing a project at the level American Dreamers does, then $50 really isn't anything. That's a drop in the bucket. You're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a remodel. So, so that does take care of, though, the people that probably aren't a good fit for us. Okay. At least a number of them, and it weeds them out. So we do charge for the estimate. We do take the $50 off should you move forward. But again, I don't know that you're really going to feel it by the time you get past it, right?
You're like, I just spent $50 on one knob.
Yeah, right. You're not kidding, right? So that's so I don't really know that it does a whole lot for anyone, but nevertheless, they have it back. Once you do get past that estimate and we give you the budget number, then, because it's a true estimate, everyone thinks an estimate, is everything included in this estimate? Well, no, not the day you got it. You haven't picked out any cabinets. You haven't have a design. I have no idea what appliances you're getting. No, it's not. It's not included. So what that does, though, is at least give them a ballpark idea of what they could expect to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can they completely make that irrelevant and blow me out of the water with their selections? Yes. Could they save money on it? Yes, they still can. It is entirely, the shopping is a big portion of it. When you look at the price of the kitchen, the cabinets and the countertops are what take up the majority of that cost, right?
Right.
So once they have that estimate, we then start showrooming, right? So we go on a journey to find the things that they like. So second visit with American Dreamers is always in showroom. And we kind of think of it as window shopping. Okay. So you're going to pick out what that door style looks like, the colors that you want. Do you want custom colors? How custom do you want them? Do you want them to be in the Sherwin-Williams palette? Can we use a code number? Or are you just going to bring me a swatch of something that you found on the internet? Okay. How custom are we talking? Right. What type of door style do you want? What kind of cabinet style do you want? So we go through the whole thing. What kind of insides have you seen on Pinterest and you can't live without?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are all these really cool little organizational things. So we get the absolutely can't live without, the would like to have if we can afford, and the it'd be nice if there's any money left in the budgets type of selections out of the way. On the third visit, we put it up on a big screen TV in a conference room. And it is a kitchen. It is fully assembled, but we invite the clients to make live edits with us. This way, they never just get a picture of a kitchen that they don't entirely love. It's still very flexible. It's still very movable. They can see multiple options. If we were like, look, the stove does work on this wall, but also it works in the adjacent wall. We'd like to show you what that looks like. We can do that very quickly. Right? And then oftentimes, of course, I have someone assisting with this. She's lovely. Her name's Stefanie.
What a great name.
So Stefanie and I work wonderfully as a team. So while they may have questions because they can't remember what a cabinet looked like and I'll march them out to the showroom, she can hurry up and make the edits and get back, and they can see the surprise when they get back. So once we're taking that journey, after we have the drawings, then we can know what quoted prices are on a lot of these items. Right. So that allows us to get quoted prices. And once we get through full realm of quoted prices, we've got counters, we've got cabinets, we've got faucets, we've got pot fillers, we've got backsplash. Then in that instance, you will start signing a lot of pieces of paper. Okay. Not just your contract to actually have the work done, but it will be sign-offs on visual sign-offs of what you selected along with their code numbers and things like that mean nothing to anybody but you and I, right?
Right.
And then at that point, you will get a slot in our schedule. Our schedule doesn't really slide or move, except, with COVID. I mean, if somebody has COVID and we can't go in their house and we were supposed to start that project, well, it's not like we'll see you next year. We slide them back. We offer somebody else that could maybe fill that gap, a little smaller project. So I used to not be flexible at all because in construction, especially in home renovation, it's pounded into us that we have to stick to this timeline and we have to do what the customer wants, and expectations are super important. And then this weird virus happened. And now I've never been told I was flexible. I nearly framed the first email that somebody said, oh, you're so flexible. Thank you so much.
I'm going to blow that up, put that on my wall. Thank you.
I was no one's ever said that to me in my life.
There's a piece of you that is apparently in a situation. That's awesome.
I'm learning.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. We all learn something. You learn something.
That is mostly the process. It is the longest process, especially because when you're looking at some sort of a CAD drawing or a 3D drawing of something, we want it to be creative and we want people to think really in depth about it and how it looks and what it's going to be and make edits. Go home, sit on it for a bit. Don't just pull the trigger because we do want it to be spectacular. Right. I have a few clients that say, look, I only know what I know. I would like to do something different and unusual that maybe hasn't happened often or at all yet. What can we do there? And so in those instances, that gives us a chance to really kind of be creative, and there's only paper sketches and it doesn't get to go in CAD because CAD can't show it.
Right. So what program are you using to show clients, their visual? Are you doing 3D rendering or what are you using to be able to present to them?
That's a good question. So for kitchens, there is absolutely no way that we can do a kitchen without 3D rendering, right? Yeah. Now, every cabinet maker is uploaded into 2020, right? And that also helps us spit out the prices. Okay, so somebody asked me the other day, can you break this down by cabinet? And I was like, oh my God, I don't think so. Yeah. You don't understand, it's every single stick of molding, it's every single fastener. It would be insane. I said, maybe we could slice it and dice it in different ways.
Maybe this wall.
Yeah, right. Maybe this wall, island separately, pantries, just them on their own. And I'm so grateful for that software to be able to do that because I can't imagine what estimates would take us otherwise, right? When we look at the components.
What estimating software do you use for all of that?
We developed it ourselves.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So when it comes to something that's very product heavy, like a kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. Kitchens are super product heavy. Then obviously most of those numbers, other than my labor, are driven by the vendor that's going to provide it, right?
Right.
Obviously, we have a markup in there because it did cost us some money to be able to get to that point and to be able to get them there because fuel is insane right now, right? So there's some markup to that, but that's a very simple formula. That's not quite as complex as, say, when we do a deck or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. We do these luxury living style decks, these outdoor living, I think is the buzzword, right? So our outdoor living style decks. So for example, if we're doing that, we would use SketchUp. 2020 is very, very specific to kitchen, but it's just so great. It's such a great formula for that. So SketchUp is pretty much everything else. Additions are done on SketchUp, all of that type of thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I want to know, what is your favorite type of job? What do you personally enjoy? Do you like the kitchens? Do you like the decks? Is there something that like really just, you're like, yes, this is my type of project that I really enjoy doing?
Well, to be clear, I mean, it's so cliche to say I like them all, but I will not take on work that I don't enjoy. People ask me about it, and you don't want to be rude, but I've just found that the truth is probably the best way to that. Like, if I can't get personally invested in this, do you really want me to do it?
Right.
I mean, usually the answer is no. Okay. Sometimes people are desperate. They say yes, but I'm like, well, I just can't. It's not something that is even triggering me creatively. And I'm not going to be invested in it. And I want to be invested in it, because when I think about these projects for my clients, I think about it as it's going to be the backdrop of their lives. Like, this is their home, right? Every photo they take, every special event that happens in their house, it's there and it's in the background, and it should be really beautiful. And it should be a reflection of who they are as a family. Right.
Right.
And so I look for a client, not necessarily a project, but a client that is very invested in making that happen. It's almost always a her. Women tend to care a whole lot about what the nest looks like, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she usually comes to me and has a taste, a style. It's okay if she needs help with it. If she just hasn't fully developed the vision, that's why I'm here. And sometimes she'll just say, look, I want something very wild and crazy. That would make me feel good to live in that space. I want it to be artistic, whatever it is, I buy into their excitement. Mm-hmm. I actually had a client very recently that told me they weren't looking forward to the addition because it had been such a process with the bank. And I told him, look, if you can't find something to be excited about, I will refund your money and I'll let you go to somebody else, because it will be miserable for all of us.
Okay? Yeah, if you're miserable going in, we haven't even started.
We haven't even put a nail in your house. We've not even taken the back section off. I mean, construction is dirty and it is unpleasant until it's finished. And if you can't be excited at all about it happening, it's going to be horrible for everybody involved, right? At which point they had a come to Jesus moment, and we were like, you know what, you're right. We really need to look at this differently, and we need to be excited about it. The bank stuff is done. Let's get past it.
Yeah, yeah. Move on. It will be worth it.
So when I talk about what my favorite projects are, it's more like who my favorite people were. How excited were they to get it done? How invested were they emotionally in the finished product? Did they put me out any coolers with drinks in them?
Yeah. Did they invite me over to enjoy the space?
That day? Because ultimately, and I will tell in my own home, I get very desensitized, right? Like, I've seen like inset cabinets before. I've seen full overlay. I've seen European flat front. I have seen the wildest bathroom tile you can imagine. I've created my own tile patterns. So my favorite projects, I guess, are more my favorite people. I do always look forward to the ones that offer me something I haven't done yet.
Right.
Those are the things that I cling to.
That's beautiful. And I think that's so true. It's like, when I think about projects, I really think about like, I've bonded with them, because you really become a part of somebody's life for an extended period of time.
Oh my goodness. Often they're so long, Yeah. Especially like if we're doing a whole house or even a first floor. I mean, we're there a long time.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And it's like those people, sometimes I go, oh, I miss them. I haven't seen them in a while, and you used to see them every single day. So
yeah, I mean, and we look forward to, and I'm sure you do too, bonding over those relationships. We get Christmas cards from those people. I'll have people that'll send us an email and say, we miss you guys. We liked having you here. It is strange that you don't come every day anymore. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but there's, less that dust, right? So
yeah. You just get to enjoy it, and it's clean whether I am there or not.
Right. But, obviously we're looking to forge those type of relationships with our clients. I don't think feasibly it'll happen with everyone, and it doesn't.
Right. So give me, what led you into this business? I need to know some background, because you're obviously an expert and you've been doing this a very long time. So how did that come about?
Oh gosh. Well, now I'm going to tell you, you're going to be like, wow, how old is she? The Botox hold out as long as it can here.
Right. I'm right there with you. I'm only 97.
Oh, okay. I did not start out in construction. I wanted to, I did, but our parents have their own goals and their own dreams for us. And I think when we're young, of course, it's our goal to please them, right? And to kind of see their vision for who we are through. I was blessed to be intelligent, okay? And I was able to get into a really prestigious university and go that route. And my mother graduated college. She was a single mom and went to night school, and she graduated college right before I left for college. So
wow.
Yeah, I know. So it's so sweet. And it was just her dream to be able to see me go to college and graduate and have a degree. And I'm grateful that she pushed me to do it. Okay, I really am. But as a child, I always wanted to create. There was this toy. It came out at Christmas time because that's when all of the really cheap toys do come out. Okay. It came out at Christmas time, and you could make a birdhouse with it. It was a real power tool. And I don't know how it had some sort of magical science behind it where the blades didn't cut you, but you could safely build a birdhouse. It was like a little, I don't know, it almost kind of reminded me now that I think back on it of like half jigsaw, half table saw, maybe with like a multi-use blade on it, right? Because it didn't
didn't actually hurt you.
Yeah, right. So you would like feed it through this like really terrifying looking multi-use blade. You would feed it through on this little table, and you would be able to make yourself a birdhouse.
Right? Oh my gosh, so you like cut the wood and stuff.
Yes, it was probably very, very thin, cheap wood, but nevertheless,
yes.
You could do it. And I wanted this so badly. I can't even explain. The top of my Christmas list. I did not get it, okay, because I'm a girl. And my cousin Brandon got it. And to this day, I'm honestly still a little resentful. Okay?
Right, yeah. I'm just still pissed at you, Brandon.
I'm thinking it. I mean, I'm sure we can do some sort of psychological analysis on what it's done to me and my pocketbook and the amount of tools I now own. Okay?
Yeah. I have fixed the problem.
The problem has been fixed. I'm an adult and I can do what I want now. Right?
Yes.
Your child tells me every day, if you're an adult, you can buy that if you want to. Right?
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
So, I mean, now I'm still like a connoisseur of power tools. I absolutely love them. If you can have the best tool for the job or it can make you more efficient, absolutely. Right. So, yes, I always wanted to do it. It was always there. So eventually I take my big degree and I start in like high level sales for IT. Right. So I work for IBM and Emerson and Liebert and Forsyth, which is now Cisco. So these are all really big name companies in IT, and I did integrated data center design for them. And that whole sentence probably sounded boring, and it is. Okay.
Yeah, I think I fell asleep. No.
Just as boring as the whole explanation sounded.
Okay, let's move on.
It's not quite, I mean, yes, you're putting things together and you're designing, but it's not quite.
It's not creative.
It's not creative anyway.
No color to it.
Boxes. They go into little cooling stations. We get it. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there are people that will disagree with me, and that's wonderful for them. We need those people, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I did make great money doing it. And I used that money to invest in condemned properties in my area. So I would buy these properties for pennies on the dollar. I mean, I think the first one I bought was $7,000, and it was only that much because I paid someone $1,000 to keep their hand down at the auction. There was only 2 people at the auction.
I've never thought of that. That's a great idea. Hey, I'll give you $1,000 if you don't bid on this property.
There has to be more than one person that shows up or they don't auction it. Okay. So I gave him $500 to show up and $500 not to raise his hand. Okay.
There we go. I love it.
$6,000 in the win, $7,000 on the bribe. Okay. So that was my first property that I got. And when I say it was a turd, turds came included. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no key to the home. I got a boost up and I fell into the kitchen from the back door that was a story above me. Okay. It was like a run and a boost. And that's how I made it into the house.
Okay.
And when I landed, I found, I was so lucky where I landed, like not a foot over. There was like fecal matter all through the place because whoever had it wasn't mentally well and like let their dogs go to the bathroom wherever. Okay?
Yeah.
So
$7,000 house. I mean, what do you expect?
What was I expecting?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I did a number of these. I turned them around to luxury living. I kept them on the books as rentals because I leaned them for full value to be able to do the renovation. And then I use them as depreciating value up against the, revenue of this company. And that way I'm not, just losing in taxes every single year because it's very high revenue. It puts us into a tax bracket that can be, well, sometimes really devastating to a new business, especially. So now I always keep some pasta properties and some protein properties on my docket so that we can always keep expanding American Dreamers and have the asset to do that, but also keep that depreciating value rolling in through leaned properties.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. So and eventually I was able to just leave, right? I just never looked back.
Yeah. So you quit and then you have your general contractor's license.
Yes.
And at what point, like what year was that?
I want to say, it got a little fuzzy because it took me a little while to get properly established. I hit a hiccup, which I think everybody does somewhere in the paperwork, where the payroll company needed me to have workman's comp if I wanted to set my business up this way. And workman's comp needed me to have payroll. Okay. So the two just couldn't seem to quite meet no matter how many phone calls I made. Okay. So
oh my gosh.
It took me, it's funny because I was paying workman's comp. Finally, I got workman's comp to agree. I paid workman's comp for almost a year before I could actually legally get an employee through payroll. And so when they went back and did the workman's comp audit, she was like, let me get this.
let me give you a refund. How about that?
Of course, at that time, the audits weren't like that. They were just like, okay, you paid whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Darn it.
So Lord knows, I mean, now when I'm paying overages every year, I'm like, can we go back and remember?
Yeah. Can we credit what you gave me? Yes.
I think it finally got itself sorted out sometime around 2010. So we're legally operating and moving forward at that point with actual payroll that was legal and had all of the requirements. But I mean, I had the licensing. I just couldn't do a lot with it.
Without employees. So who was the first person you hired?
Her name was Karen. And I was just as shocked as Karen was when went through the interview because she wasn't expecting to have a female boss. And I was not expecting my first employee to be female. Okay. But she was fabulous. She really was. She was so knowledgeable. She was so can-do. And that can-do attitude is so important in what we do because, of course, you haven't done every single thing before. How would you ever grow? Right.
Yes.
So, she was absolutely fantastic. Karen is like semi-retired now and enjoys just like metalworking and things like that with her significant other. So, but she was a real blessing. I mean, finding that first employee is really, really key.
Yeah. So then how many do you have now? Like how many employees do you have now on your team? And I know you do everything in-house, so 10. You don't have to name all of them, but
I have 10 now.
How many of them are female? Like, do you have gals that are working in the field? Because I kind of have both. I have male and female, but I was just curious if that was important to you to kind of.
Since Karen, I don't think I ever lucked out again.
It's so hard to find.
It is very, very hard to find. Okay. It really is. And it's a cultural thing, right? I think it's turning around now, but
yeah, 10
there's a certain
years ago.
I don't want to say an age, but it's a level of experience that comes with age that you would enter home remodeling, right? And be able to be multifaceted in what you're doing and things like that. So we're just haven't hit the honey pot area in this progression where there's going to be a lot of females available to hire. My painter is female. Christina's excellent. She's a crowd favorite because she's, got the gift of gab and she's a really quick painter and accurate. And so she does represent my company really, really well. And of course, I think you've spoken with Elena. She's our head of marketing. She's also female. And then Erica answers the phones because we do have our office manager position is actually a really sweet position here. It is work from home. And so I do try to find somebody that is really intelligent and really able to kind of handle multiple things at a time, but maybe also would like to save a little bit on childcare and be able to stay home and work from home. And so we lucked out with Erica and that worked out.
So what was kind of like the deciding factor between, I bought these houses at auction and then now I'm going to go do customer work because those are very, extremely different things. And sometimes, what was the transition for you?
There was always the plan to do that. That was the whole idea of acquiring those homes, right? Is to be able to cut my teeth with vendors and find out who I can trust and who I can't, who I liked working with, right? It was also to be able to have just a bit of a discovery period on what the best way to set my business up for something that would be more customer facing, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. These homes, I'm both the customer and the contractor,
right?
But I don't own them anymore. There's a lot more on the line, right? Especially even just legally. So I wanted to understand that before I was already in it. And that's a hard thing. I mean, most people don't get to understand that before they actually start a business, right? They have to test the waters. So when I hired Karen, it was right at the transition and she was hip to be transitioned. She went around along for the ride. She was good. And I just said to her, look, would you prefer to stay like a 1099 as I'm setting this up? Or would you rather be W-2? Because I kind of have a feeling on what I prefer, but what do you feel from like an employee's perspective? Mm-hmm. Said, well, I want to buy a horse trailer, but I can't do that if I can't prove I have a job. So it'd be better if I had a payroll.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
Yeah. Right. I said, well, all right. I agree with you. I think I'd rather have the taxes taken out for myself, and I can switch an LLC to an S Corp for tax purposes, and it'd be super simple. So that's what we did. And at least in that aspect, when we're talking about, trusted, to figure out how it was I was going to acquire trusted employment and be able to be facing a customer in their home, right? And so I developed a series of tests that I do as part of an interview, and they're field tests. Like somebody has to come on site and they have to be able to cut, an inside piece of crown, an outside piece of crown. They've got to be able to lay some tile for me and grout it. They've got to be able to do inside corner of tape, outside corner of tape. You don't have to pass everyone with flying colors, but I need to understand what your capabilities are and where I could position you in this company and if there is a spot there. Right. Mm-hmm. When you do a phone interview, everybody feels that they're worth top dollar and you're going to want to pay them more whenever you see what they're capable of. Well, I want to see what you're capable of now before I pay you.
Right. So, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I learned to develop that. I learned how many, interviews, how many times do I have to meet the person. As an employer, we're never going to get it right 100% of the time, but it did certainly hedge my liability of having an entire stranger in somebody's home that was just hired. Right.
Right.
Their level of craftsmanship. I'd obviously done the background checks and vet them out. And now I feel comfortable presenting them on day one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's beautiful. I think that that's so important. Okay. So you're also a mother, right?
I am. Yeah.
I just wanted to know how many kids you have. What does it feel like for you to, be a mom and run this business? Maybe if there's anything that just feels really successful that works for you.
So I think when you own a business, okay, you automatically start setting your kids up with expectations of your availability. And that's super important because we want their mindset to be that this is for them. Although that you aren't there all the time, what you're doing is building a future for them. And in order to do that, you can't be home every single day, right? And so the most interesting conversation I heard amongst my kids is because I've got stepkids and then I've got a daughter. Okay, so the boys it's split. I've got boys. So the boys were more of this belief that like, if you're not home all the time, then you don't love me as much, Mm-hmm. And my daughter stepped up to the bat one day because Brandon's youngest boy and her are best friends. Okay, so which isn't always great to have your kids be able to team up on you, but nevertheless. Okay, yeah. So they are best friends. And she says to him, well, she goes, how do you think that we are going to be able to go to Disney World and they call us the parents, right? Because it's not exactly mom and dad. She goes, how do you think the parents are going to afford to take us to like Disney World and all these cool vacations if they don't get to work? She's like, Dominic, they're out there making money so we can have nice things. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, daughter.
All right. We've got that instilled. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, with her already perspective that I'd worked on for their young life, they would pass that on to her best friend very easily. And he's on board. He gets it. He's like, you know what? That makes perfectly good sense to me. I like Disney World, So we also, the quality time that we do get, we try to be really in that moment with them. Mm-hmm. And then we also have just things that we know are weird and unusual and just ours. And so do they. They get to be more creative. They get to pick out a really wild room. Remodels to them are gifts, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Evelyn has turf in her room. It's grass. And her baseboard looks like a picket fence.
Okay? Oh, that's awesome.
And there's flowers growing out of it. And she's got a chalkboard wall. And Dominic has a pirate ship in his room. It's got 2 tiers and a mattress on the bottom. And that's where he sleeps. Right? So we do show them through the fun aspect of this. Yes, we do have to work very, very hard, but we get rewards for that. And right. I do want them to learn that, right? That if you want something that is really important to you and it's special, that you should be willing to go out and work for it. Right. Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. Obviously there's other ways to perpetuate that in the home and we work on it, but, we try to model it as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, just besides, being in construction and running this incredible business and doing just amazing design, is there something deeper for you in this? Is there a mission that you have that just kind of like is your why?
Yes, there is. And, I think it's the one that I think that we all struggle with probably the most. And it's like the elephant in the room that no one wants to say, right? everyone thinks we're all criminals, right? Nobody trusts having us in their home. We're there to just mark things up. We're making millions of dollars while they suffer through these projects, right?
Why does it have to be like this?
Right. So I think
let me just say something just on that topic, because like this has been on my heart and my mind, and we'll circle back one second. But I feel like if the mainstream population didn't have access to costs of our materials, it wouldn't be an issue, because nobody walks into a retail store and says, hey, what did you buy that at wholesale? And I want your wholesale price because you marked up that retail shirt and I don't want to pay that, and like if they could go,
I say,
I'm like, this is how we make money. Like it is the service. And that is just because you have access
to labor, friends. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, why is this a fight? It shouldn't be a fight. It's just like, if you want our beautiful service and our amazing communication and our quality of work, and we'll take good care of you. Yes, we have to mark up your labor and materials. How else do we make money?
Absolutely. Yeah. All of that. I completely agree. It is a pain point. And then, you'll get the few Karens online that are like, oh, American Dreamers, you should have seen the price of this and that. I'm like, well, maybe, like everything else, you get what you pay for. Okay. So
yeah, I'm like, the cheapest contractor is going to be a headache. I'm sorry.
When someone tells me I'm too expensive, I 100% believe them. I am too expensive for them. That's fine. No problem. They're just not going to be my customer. Obviously, they're not going to be my customer.
Right.
So
we'll circle back. Your mission. What's your mission? Right. To rid the people of that. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
So I think too that, and I have been told this by a friend of mine in PR, that the contractor is ripped off more times than any contractor has ever ripped off a civilian.
Right.
Ever. Okay.
Yes. You take the hit.
We do. We take hits. We get blackmailed continuously, and that's a strong word, but it's true, because they're like, well, I'm not paying the bill if you don't do X, Y, and Z extra for free. Right. Okay. So it's continuous. It happens a lot. And it's never, ever mentioned. But they do mention these people that are not in construction, okay, that go out and they swindle people out of their money after Katrina, pretending to be contractors, not because they are. And not only does it have a massive impact on our industry, just the way that it appears and how people feel about us, it has a massive impact on federal laws, okay, that actually impact us every single day and how we have to do business.
Right. Oh, yeah. And the cost of business that every single person, at least in California, in my field, I can't hire anybody unlicensed. Otherwise, I, get the hit for that. And
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Which makes labor expensive.
Sure. They want to know why countertops are so expensive. Oh, well, let me tell you.
Because my countertop installer, he needs to have workers' comp and insurance and, a license and all the other things. Yeah.
And whoever cuts them has to lay them. There's no cutting corners in countertops, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many hands that have to rock that cradle because of legalities that have been forced upon us, that there's no way you're getting a cheap piece of stone. It's just not happening.
Right.
So
I know.
So
I don't know where we were going with this, but
really what my point is, I think also what happens with this is it's not just the news media that perpetuates it. I was flat told when I had a customer that I really had gotten to my last, you'll do this for free or I won't pay you, early on in my career. I said to this person, PR, like, there needs to be a story on this. Like, how much, I'm not telling you we have to call an individual person out, right?
But just like,
how much does the average contractor lose in this per job would be really interesting. And you know what they said to me? The general public doesn't want to hear that they're the enemy. We're not airing that. Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yes. Put you in your place.
Got it. So then the other thing that I thought, was what I find really interesting is that never, ever have I seen a contractor walk into a job and actually compliment another contractor's work. Mm. Why do we have to pick it apart? Why is that necessary? Can't we just focus on the good, on what's good about it? Because that also makes the homeowner feel like crap. Like, why do we
that they got
why do we want to do this
by somebody else? Yeah.
Right. You can't just say, well, I like the way they did X, Y, and Z. Why don't we expand upon that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Why do we have to focus so much on where the missteps are? Because honestly, it drags us down as a whole. Right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So that has always been a really big mission of mine. It's my overriding mission, on top of seeing more females be interested in construction, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's always one. But I go to local tech schools and I talk about this. Like, listen, we want to build each other up. I said, you want to look around the room, because you don't understand, the person 3 chairs down could be your building inspector one day, right? Mm-hmm. person 2 chairs down who might be the foremost master carpenter in his industry and be looking for a job one day, you'll have the inside scoop to scoop him up because you know him, right? So watch what you say. Try to really err on the side of being positive because it really is a reflection of our industry, not just
just you. Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's beautiful. And I think, just educating the public and not tearing down the industry. And I think the more people that, like you, that just really bring something another level to the industry where you are positive, you aren't putting people down, you're doing incredible work. It's like the more that we can replicate that, then like the customers would expect that and hopefully weed out some of the stuff that shouldn't be in the industry.
It won't be so scary to them anymore, I hope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that somebody never has to think twice about having a contractor come over at 8:00, at night to give an estimate. I really do. I hope that day does come. It's going to start within. It's going to start that, we all join together. We start complimenting each other's work. Because let's face it, none of us are hurting for work. Why do we feel it's such a competition?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really strange that it's like taken to that level when, most of us have to turn work away. So
absolutely. Well, I am so honored to have you and to have spoken with you today. Can you let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, hire you?
Absolutely. You can find us at AmericanDreamersRenovations.com. Okay. Although it's long, we kept it simple. Okay. We are also on Instagram, on Facebook underneath these handles as well. TikTok, right? Everyone loves a good movie video type deal, right? If you want to get an estimate, you want to just call directly into our office, you can do that at 412-290-1108. Erica's very friendly. She gets you set up on the schedule. We have weekly slots for estimates and we're timely. We let you know if we're running behind, we're really coming, and you're really getting an estimate. Okay.
Yes, it's really happening. What's your estimate turnaround time? Like when you go, what's like your goal? What's your goal within your company? I'm just curious.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yep. We try to turn them around on paper within 2 weeks, and we are timely with them. That being said, no computer application is perfect. Okay. So sometimes we do get blocked out in spam. Erica gives a call, sends an email, make sure you got it. But, we always tell people, please don't be shy. If you feel like weeks went by and you don't have something, just tell us because prices change every day and I'll have to redo the whole thing if we wait too long. Okay?
Yeah. Right. So, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just let us know. But absolutely, please give us a like and give us a follow. We would love for other people to see our work. Let us know what they're doing, which would be super great, right? What else is happening out there in industry? We love to see other people's work. We're fans of what's happening. We're not just doing it ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And it was just such a pleasure to meet you. And I can tell you that you just know so much about the industry and you have so much to offer. And I can see why so many people go to you for knowledge. And I just appreciate you to be here. Thank you so much.
That's very kind. Well, thank you for your time. I love being here. Hopefully we'll get to chat again.
Yes, of course.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Build Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Build swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.